Well, Jussie Smollett is facing new legal troubles. Prosecutors hit the actor with a new round of charges, allegedly making claims for a hate crime. This comes after similar charges were dropped. So will prosecutors actually follow through? Here to talk about this and more is criminal defense attorney David Bruno. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
So these charges, essentially very similar to the charges that were dropped last year. We do have this indictment of 6 new charges, but why now would the grand jury bring this up again?
Sure. After the first debacle, the dismissed charges, and then just the outrage about it, there was a judge in the county that appointed a prosecutor to review the decision to dismiss. And that's the prosecutor that ultimately charged the new charges. And now we have somebody that's not Kim Foxx. This is a objective and second prosecutor to make this decision. And I don't see these going away. Although there could be an argument for double jeopardy. The defendant was never actually tried, and he never actually pled guilty. It was a dismissal. So generally speaking, no double jeopardy, but he forfeited bail, $10,000, and also agreed to community service. So there were some consequences to the dismissal that I would anticipate defense attorneys say, hey, you can't do it again.
Yeah. So potentially he could definitely be held accountable here.
Sure. As long as there's no double jeopardy, these charges can stick.
All righty. I want to ask you now about Harvey Weinstein. His defense rested their case. They said he will not take the stand, even though he told reporters as he was leaving reportedly that he wanted to testify. What do you think he would have said, and do you think this was a smart move for him not to testify?
Absolutely smart move. I would have made the same recommendation. I mean, if Harvey Weinstein testified, that jury decision would have been about the credibility of Harvey Weinstein and not the individual witnesses. And I think that the defense has great arguments to make about credibility. You know, these are historic allegations. There was no physical evidence. There were no fresh complaints. And some of the victims continued to communicate with Harvey Weinstein. I mean, there's some damning evidence that came out the other day about statements that were made from one of the accusers that just were consistent with a rape allegation. So as a defense attorney, if the prosecutor has the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that's the way you go and argue that that is not guilty, instead of putting your client on and subjecting him to cross-examination.
And before we let you go, yesterday we had 4 federal prosecutors withdraw from the case against Roger Stone as the Justice Department reversed itself, recommending less prison time for President Trump's longtime associate. Democrats are saying that there was possibly some influence from President Trump here because this is a rather unusual reversal, right?
Very unusual and sloppy, I mean, to be quite honest. If they should have been on the same page, DOJ clearly had no idea that the local prosecutors were going to be asking for that lengthy 7 to 9 jail sentence. And they just amended the sentencing memorandum, and they're not asking for anything. But ultimately, it's the judge. Even the prosecutor's recommendation of 7 to 9 wouldn't have been binding on the judge. And it's the judge that ultimately makes this decision within the statutory sentences.
All righty. David Bruno, thank you so much for joining us. Lauren, over to you.
All right, let's take a look at